Such a cute story, so listen up. Today is World Essential Workers Day, and it's meant to thank those whose work often goes unnoticed. Tonight, 6 News has the story of 2 essential workers who found each other and a miracle on the job.
You like that?
A friendship turned to love and now to family.
What is that?
Is that A?
Yeah.
7 years after meeting while working at the Methodist Women's Hospital NICU, Taylor and Drew are celebrating another milestone in their relationship, the adoption of their baby girl.
We've dated, then we got married. Now we're like, we want kids. We really want kids. And it just feels like our life is complete.
Ella was born at 23 weeks in May of 2021. She weighed just 1 pound, 2 ounces, and had numerous health complications. Taylor was her NICU nurse.
I came in and I was like, I want to take care of her. She was very sick. And I was like, I just want to get to know her and take care of her.
She caused a lot of stress for Taylor, is the best way to put it. So she'd come home at night and be like, my patient, or she just isn't doing well, and I don't know if I'll see her again tomorrow.
But Ella kept fighting, and Taylor was by her side every day. In December of 2021, Ella became a ward of the state.
I reached out to our social worker at Methodist and I said, I've taken care of her. I know her. I love her. Is there a way that we could foster her? She reached out to DHHS, the caseworker, and they said, yes, you guys could be a possibility.
Because of the long-term care Taylor and Drew had given Ella, they were deemed to have kinship with her. And just a few weeks later, Taylor and Drew were granted fostering rights.
Surreal, really, and it just happened so fast.
Ella stayed in NICU for several more months, eventually coming home with Taylor and Drew just before her first birthday.
It was hard at times, but then you're kind of like, oh, it came natural, I feel like, as time went on.
Then on November 18th of last year, Taylor and Drew officially adopted Ella.
We don't usually cry too much, and especially not Taylor, but it was definitely just tears, from everyone, I feel like, that day.
Yeah.
And
it was just like the closure of everything she's been through.
At almost 3 years old now, Ella still sees a number of specialists. But Taylor and Drew say she's walking and talking, something doctors thought she would never do.
I've learned that you just can't doubt whatever she wants to do. She's going to do whatever she wants to. And so the sky's the limit for her as far as what she wants to do with her life.
I just hope she knows that, she did all the work. We were just here supporting her and loving her and advocating for her.
On your side, Taylor Johnson, 6 News.
Stories. Thank you, Taylor. Meanwhile, Taylor and Drew say in addition to the developmental milestones she's hitting, Ella is expected to have her trach removed this year. A date has yet to be set.